the courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Just for today. Okay. Welcome to Freedom 7, our 7th annual Michigan Regional Convention of Narcotics Anonymous. My name is Henry, and I'm an addict. Hi, everyone. Our theme this year is Today We Live. In keeping with our 11th tradition, we did not feel it was appropriate to invite the media's attention. However, there's always the possibility that they will show up. If you are approached by a member of the media and or someone in our fellowship requesting information, please refer them to our Convention Information Chairperson, James Z., or to a member of the MRCNA 7 Planning Committee. Narcotics Anonymous offers only one promise, and that is freedom from active addiction, the solution that eluded us for so long. We will be freed from our self-made prisons. Living just for today, we have no way of knowing what will happen to us. We are often amazed at how things work out for us. We are recovering in the here and now, and the future becomes an exciting journey. If we had written down a list of our expectations when we came to the program, we would have been cheating ourselves. Hopeless living problems have become joyous change. Our disease has been arrested, and now anything is possible. The program of Narcotics Anonymous provides us an opportunity to ease the pain of living through spiritual principles. And today we live. Please remember that not everyone smokes. In consideration of those who do not smoke, please try to keep your smoking to a minimum. We are presented with a dilemma when our members identify themselves as addicts and alcoholics or talk about living clean and sober. The clarity of NA's message is blurred. To speak in this manner suggests that there are two diseases and that one drug is somehow separate from the rest, requiring special recognition. Narcotics Anonymous makes no distinction between drugs. Our identification as addicts is all inconclusive, allowing us to concentrate on our similarities and not our differences. My list of readers, Floyd, would you give them to me, please? Yep. Okay. Yule. No, I'm sorry, Pam. Well, gee whiz, before I can read your writing. Lindsay, would you come up and read just for the day, please?
My name's Lindsay, and I'm an addict. Just for the day. Tell yourself, just for the day, my thoughts will be on my recovery, living and enjoying life without the use of drugs. Just for the day, I will have faith in someone in NA who believes in me and wants to help me in my recovery. I will have a program. I will try to follow it to the best of my ability. My thought through NA, I will try to get a better perspective on my life. I will be unafraid. My thoughts will be on my new associations, people who are not using and who have found a new way of life. So long as I follow that way, I would have no fear. Thank you.
Now, Pam, would you read Who's an Addict for us? Where's Pam? There she is. Hi, Pam.
Hi, I'm Pam, and I'm an addict. Who is an addict? Most of us do not have to think twice about this question. We know. Our whole life and thinking was centered in drugs in one form or another, the getting and using and finding ways and means to get more. We live to use and use to live. Very simply, an addict is a man or a woman whose life is controlled by drugs. We are people in the grip of a continuing and progressive illness whose ends are always the same: jails, institutions, and death.
Ewell will read, what is the Narcotics Anonymous program?
Hi, family. I'm an addict. My name is Euro. What is the Narcotics Anonymous program? NA is a non-profit fellowship or society of men and women from whom drugs have become a major problem. We are recovering addicts who meet regularly to help each other stay clean. This is a program of complete abstinence from all drugs. There's only one requirement for membership: the desire to stop using. We suggest that you keep an open mind and give yourself a break. Our program is a set of principles written so simply that we can follow them in our daily lives. The most important thing about them is that they work. There are no strings attached to NA. We are not affiliated with any other organizations. We have no initiation fees or dues, no pledges to signs, no promises to make to anyone. We are not connected with any political, religious, or law enforcement groups, and we are under no surveillance at any time. Anyone may join us regardless of age, race, sexual identity, creed, religion, and lack of religion. We are not interested in what or how much you use, or who your connections were, what you have done in the past, how much or how little you have, but only in what you want to do about your problem and how we can help. The newcomer is the most important person at any meeting, because we can only keep what we have by giving it away. We have learned from our group experience that those who keep coming to our meetings regularly stay clean.
Gee, I can't read this name, Floyd. Yeah. It's that bad. Yeah. Oh, that's Floyd's name.
My name is Boo. Hello, family. My name is Floyd, and I'm an addict. How it works. If you want what we have to offer and are willing to make the effort to get it, then you are ready to take certain steps. These are the principles that made our recovery possible. 1, admitted that we were powerless of our addiction, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. 7, humbly asked Him to remove our shortcomings. 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9, made direct amends to such people whenever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10, continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. Sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for the knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. A spiritual awakening as a result of these steps. We tried to carry this message to addicts and to practice these principles in all our affairs. I want to get a sponsor and lead the newcomer along. This sounds like a big order, and we can't do it all at once. We didn't become addicted in one day, so remember, easy does it.
There's only one thing more than anything else that will defeat us in our recovery. This is an attitude of indifference or intolerance towards spiritual principles. Three of these that are indispensable are honesty. With these, we are well on our way. We feel that our approach to the disease of addiction is completely realistic, for the therapeutic value of one addict helping another is without parallel. We feel that our way is practical, for one addict can best understand and help another addict. We believe that the sooner we face our problems within our society in everyday living, just that much faster do we become acceptable, responsible, and productive members of that society. The only way to keep from returning to active addiction is not to take that first drug. If you are like us, you know that one is too many. We put great emphasis on this, for we know that when we use drugs in any form or substitute one for another, we release our addiction all over again. Thinking of alcohol as different from other drugs has caused a great many addicts to relapse. Before we came to NA, many of us viewed alcohol separately, but we cannot afford to be confused about this. We are people with the disease of addiction who must abstain from all drugs in order to recover. We got a live crowd.
Sandra G. to read the 12 traditions. Oh, there she is. You're not reading it. Oh, I did.
Let me get a hug. I need some help here.
I'm an addict. My name is Sandy. Hi. The 12 traditions of NA. We keep what we have only with vigilance, and just as freedom for the individual comes from the 12 steps, so freedom for the group springs from our traditions. As long as the ties that bind us together are stronger than those that would tear us apart, all will be well. 1. Our common welfare should come first. Personal recovery depends on NA unity. For our group purpose, there is but one ultimate authority, a loving God, as he may express himself in our group conscience. Our leaders are... I keep coming. Our leaders are but trusted servants. They do not govern. 3. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop using. 4. Each group should be autonomous, except in matters affecting other groups or NA as a whole. 5. Each group has but one primary purpose, to carry the message to the addict who still suffers. 6. An NA group ought never endorse, finance, or lend the NA name to any related facility or outside enterprise. These problems of money, property, or prestige divert us from our primary purpose. 7. Every NA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. 8. Narcotics Anonymous should remain forever non-professional, but our service centers may employ special workers. 9. NA as such ought never be organized, but we may create service boards or committees directly responsible to those they serve. 10. Narcotics Anonymous has no opinion on outside issues. Hence, the NA name ought never be drawn into public controversy. 11. Our public relations policy is based on attraction rather than promotion. We need always maintain personal anonymity at the level of press, radio, and films. 12. Anonymity is the spiritual foundation of all our traditions, ever reminding us to place principles before personality.
Yeah, Carl, would you read Why Are We Here?
Hey, Carl.
I'm an addict. My name is Harold. Why are we here? Before coming to the fellowship of NA, we could not manage our own lives. We could not live and enjoy life as other people do. We had to have something different, and we thought we had found it in drugs. We placed that use ahead of the welfare of our families, our wives, husbands, and our children. We had to have drugs at all costs. We did many people great harm, but most of all, we harmed ourselves. Through our inability to accept personal responsibilities, we were actually creating our own problems. We seemed to be incapable of facing life on its own terms. Most of us realized that in our addiction, we were slowly committing suicide. But addiction is such a cunning enemy of life that we had lost the power to do anything about it. Many of us ended up in jail or sought help through medicine, religion, and psychiatry. None of these methods was sufficient for us. Our disease always resurfaced and continued to progress until, in desperation, we sought help from each other in Narcotics Anonymous. After coming to NA, we realized we were sick people. We suffered from a disease from which there is no known cure. It can, however, be arrested at some point, and recovery is then possible.
Okay, to introduce our speaker tonight is Roland.
Hello, family. My name is Roland, and I'm an addict. It's an extreme honor and a privilege to be able to introduce our speaker. I met him at Freedom 5, and every time I've gotten the opportunity to speak to this individual, I felt uplifted. I've always been able to take something away. The cap of knowing this person and coming to respect him as a member of this fellowship came when I went to a convention, of the very first convention in Columbus, and he said something. He said, "Today we're making history, because this is the first one. This isn't the first one here, but believe me, it's the first one of this magnitude here. And again, we're making history, and I'm real happy to be making history with this speaker for our convention from Williamsport, Pennsylvania, Richard V."
My name is Richard, and I'm an addict. For all my friends that got jammed up when he said I was from Williamsport, Pennsylvania. I'm from Williamsport, Pennsylvania, by way of Philadelphia, by way of Cincinnati, Ohio. All right. So that clears up all that static. As I said before, my name is Richard, and I'm an addict. There's a couple things. First, I'd like you guys to take a moment of silence. Thank whatever higher power you have in your life. Give me a couple minutes to get with mine. Thank you very much. Next thing I'd like to say is I'd like to thank the Michigan Region Convention of Narcotics Anonymous for asking me, giving me the opportunity to make manifest our seventh tradition, make it possible for me to be a trusted servant, once again for the Fellowship of Narcotics Anonymous. I'm real happy to be here. I got a lot of friends out there, and I know they're all happy to be here. You guys are really putting it on. I mean, I have had a ball. I've been here since yesterday, and it's been great. I came down here, I drove down here with a friend of mine from Williamsport, and when I got here yesterday, some people were asking me, how was the trip, this and that and the other, you know. And the trip was pretty good. It was pretty much without incident, except one thing happened. We were riding down 80, and we were trolling on pretty nice, you know, and this ambulance came up and pulled off in front of us, and his lights was running. And we riding, you know, and I'm watching this ambulance, right? Didn't have no siren on, so I didn't think it was going to place any forward, right? But anyway, it hit a bump, and the doors flew open, right? And then it hit another bump, and this big box fell out the back, right? I swerved my car over, you know, and I pull over the side, and oh my goodness, what's happening here, right? So this girl was with me. She said, well, you know, go get out, look in the box, right? I'm not going to look at that box. So, being the nosy addict that I am, I succumbed to my curiosity. And then I got out and I looked at the box. And in the box was a bunch of toes, human toes on ice. So I panicked, you know, I don't know what I'm doing now, right? I mean, we talking toes, you know? So I asked her, you know, we took a group conscience. I said, well, what am I supposed to do with all these toes, right? So we took a group conscience, and what we did, we called a tow truck. Well, that's the best joke I had in my repertoire. I had to get you. I had to do that. I had to try that one. Whoa. It's great to be able to laugh today. It's great to be able to have a good time and to share my humor with my friends. Something I wasn't able to do. Something I wasn't able to do for a long time. I'm learning today on a day-to-day basis how to do a lot of different things. You know, I'm learning how to laugh. I'm learning how to cry. I'm learning how to tell you people when I feel good and when I feel bad, when I'm scared and when I'm okay. I guess to sum it all up, I guess what I'm saying is today I'm learning how to feel. It took me a long time to get over that numbness of my addiction. You know, I remember my first 6 months of recovery, you know, I used to tell guys I had feelings of this and I had feelings of that and I was doing this and I was doing that. And a year later, I was coming on to some new feelings and this, that, and the other, you know, and I used to like to say that a lot. But the bottom line is, as time passes, the progression of time, I guess, is opening me up. I guess as time goes by, my sponsor once told me that I didn't know nothing because I was still in a coma, you know? And I guess as the progression of time comes on, I'm restored to sanity in some areas. I'm coming up out of that coma. I'm seeing a lot of things with my eyes, and I'm feeling a lot of things inside that I never felt before. And if I did feel them before, I medicated them with that drug. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about my active addiction because I've shared before and other people have heard me talk about this before, but I'll just give it to you real short. I was born in Cincinnati, Ohio. I was raised in Cincinnati, Ohio. I started my active addiction in Cincinnati, Ohio. I joined the Marine Corps. I went to Vietnam. My active addiction accelerated overseas. One day I was laying on the beach. I'd been in the hospital at Da Nang. And I was laying down on a place they called Red Beach, which was a hospital, a part of the hospital down there on the ocean. And I was getting high. You know, that's the only way I can describe it. I was smoking weed. And there was a guy beside me, and he was smoking weed too. I was all right, but he was more all right. The more he sucked on his, the higher he got. The more I sucked on mine, the madder I got. So I asked him to give me some, and what he gave me was what they called at that time a bang sang bomber, which was marijuana laced with pure heroin. I smoked that and went to a nod. I came out of that nod approximately 18 years later on the corner of Broad and South in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. In that time, I experienced everything they talk about in our basic text. Everything they talk about where our addiction will take us, I was there. Jails, I was there. Institutions, I was there. And because I guess my sponsor described death to me as being in a state of non-productivity, I guess I was among the walking dead for a real long time. Like I said before, I came up out of that nod on the corner of Broad and South in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the city of brotherly love. When I was living in Cincinnati, I always considered myself a slickster. I always considered myself a hustler. I always considered myself one of those guys that no matter where you put me, I could get money and be all right. When my higher power saw fit to break me, my higher power saw fit to challenge me on my ideas and my beliefs, and he placed me in the city of brotherly love. And let me tell you, they brought fire from this country boys behind. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania broke me. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania made me tired. You understand what I'm talking about? You understand what tired meant? I was too tired to get up in the morning to hustle to get some dope. I was too tired to get up in the morning and try to find that dope man one more time. I was too tired to stand out in the middle of the night at 2 o'clock in the morning down on 16th and South and hope that this dude would come through there to sell me a deck. 2-3 bags of dope. I was tired. I was too tired to go back into the Ponderosa. I was too tired to go back down into John's hat shop in the basement. Philadelphia made me tired. Hal came up here and he said, in desperation. And that was me. Didn't know nothing about the word. I didn't know it was desperation at that time. I just thought I needed a rest. So I took advantage of some of the opportunities that were afforded to me as a veteran. And I went away and I was introduced to the program of Narcotics Anonymous. Now, I don't know about anybody else, but spending 18 years in active addiction made me real skeptical. So when this dude come in there sitting down at a meeting, crossed his legs and started talking about how clean he was living, how well his life was going, I started looking for little things to disqualify myself from what he was saying. If they would bring a speaker into the facility to talk about Narcotics Anonymous. I didn't hear none of that. What I would pay attention to was, did he scratch? You know, if he scratched, all right, jump high. Did he yawn? Did he nod? Did he look like he wasn't, quote unquote, 100% attentive? Do he really expect me to believe that stuff he talking? That lame getting high. That lame selling. He's doing something. That's bull. And that was my attitude. That was my ideas. And those were my beliefs. And I held fast to them. Because one thing I learned in that act of addiction is you don't let go of things that keep you alive real quick. And my skepticism kept me alive on a lot of days. As a direct result of me not believing what this man was saying, I gained a few pounds. I got a girlfriend. I got a job. And I got another excuse for me to use when they sent me to a place and the doctor told me, oh, you're not an addict. You're just self-medicating yourself from the traumas that you suffered in Vietnam. I said, yeah. I'm just self-medicating myself from the traumas that I suffered in Vietnam. And as a direct result of that, the first pass they gave me out of that place, I went down my buddy's house. And I was sitting in my buddy's house watching cable TV. They had channel Prism. And that's why I went to his house, because he had Prism. And I could watch the 76ers play basketball. Oh, it had nothing to do with he had all the drugs in town. Oh, no. It had nothing to do with people, places, and things and reservations. Oh, no. Had nothing to do with that. I wanted to watch the basketball game. So I would sit there in this guy's house while they would smoke weed, snort coke, or whatever they was doing, and pass this mess around me, and I would say little cliches like, just for the day I don't use. No, thank you. One day at a time, I'll be all right. You know. And one day he found the right key to that combination. He said, come on, man. You can handle just one joint. And I was on like popcorn. Off to the races one more time. I kept up the front. I held on to the job. I held on to the girlfriend. If you notice, I held on to her throat, threatening her like, if you leave me, I might kill you. I held on to a lot of material things as time around, but I lost me. I mean, I really became empty inside. I would go to work, and people would say, how you doing? And I'd give them the $1 million smile. Oh, I'm fine. You dig what I'm saying? And inside, I'd be screaming like, help me, you know, because I didn't know what to do. You know what I'm saying? I thought there was no help for me. I didn't know nothing about, well, I guess I knew, but I just didn't believe that. And by the grace of God, there was one guy there who had the perseverance, man, and the love for another human being. And he told me to come talk to him, and I went in a moment of clarity to talk to him, and he sent me away, and I got introduced to the program of Narcotics Anonymous. March 26, 1984. Since that day, I have not used a moon or mind-altering chemical in my body. I haven't used. And I'm not saying since that day I haven't wanted to. I'm just saying that since that day I learned that there were different alternatives and choices that I had in my life that I didn't have to use. I was at a rehab last week, and a girl asked me, when did you surrender? When did you finally come to grips with the fact that you didn't want to use no more? And I had to tell her when the pain got unbearable. Bottom line, wasn't too much people said to me that made me surrender. But it was that gut-wrenching pain. That pain that I couldn't shake even when I was asleep. That pain I couldn't run away. That pain I couldn't, I'm trying to find the right, sex away. That pain I couldn't steal away. The pain I couldn't eat away. That's what made me surrender. I surrendered to the fellowship of Narcotics Anonymous, I guess, March 26, 1984. I think I surrendered to the program of Narcotics Anonymous maybe a couple years later. And I make a distinction because there is definitely a distinction. The area that I live in, I'm real blessed to be able to get people with multiple years of clean time to come down because we're centrally located. And one day a brother came down from Wilkesboro, Pennsylvania, and he had something like 20-something years clean. And he shared at our Monday night meeting. And he asked, what is the program of Narcotics Anonymous? So Big Richard says, Narcotics Anonymous is a society, a fellowship of men and women for whom drugs have become a major problem. You know what I'm saying? And he said, nah. And he said, I said, wait a minute now, what do you mean no? He asked again, what is the program of Narcotics Anonymous? And I said, Narcotics Anonymous is a fellowship or society of men and women for whom drugs have become a major problem. But I didn't say it as loud the second time as I said the first time. Because he had rocked my foundation. And he told me no. He said, that's the fellowship of Narcotics Anonymous. He said, our program is a set of principles written so simply that we can follow them in our daily lives. And when he said that to me, it was like a light bulb went on inside my head. Because prior to that, we had some people in our area that had stopped coming to meetings, but they had 7 years clean. They had stopped hanging around the people in the fellowship or coming to the people around the people in the fellowship or identifying themselves as addicts, and they had 11 years clean. And these people were falling by the wayside. And I'm saying, if they got this program in their life, why are they falling? And he told me very simply, it wasn't the program that they had, it was the fellowship. And if you don't get the program in your life, you're going to do whatever it is you've always done, because the program brings about the internal change, not the fellowship. He told me I had to incorporate these steps and these traditions in my life in order to change my attitudes, my ideas, and my behaviors. That's why, after 2 years in this program, things started to change for me, because I actively started following suggestions and following the direction of people that were here before me and doing these steps and writing them down and talking to my sponsor and incorporating in my life these new attitudes, ideas, and behavior on a daily basis. See, because 1 year clean, I can remember a guy asked me one day, he said, hey, Rich, he says, what you doing? I said, I'm getting my car fixed. He said, nah, what you really doing? You know, like, who got that thing? And I went off. What? Now check this, self-righteous me. How dare you come to me with a question like that? Don't you know I'm recovering today? Don't you know I don't use drugs? And I went from anger to rage. And I reached in the trunk of my car and pulled out this baseball bat that I had been keeping. And I run this guy up the street. Miller Main Street, Coatesville, Pennsylvania, small town, USA. I'm running behind this guy, screaming at the top of my lungs what I'm going to do to him. But I'm recovering. And then after I finished putting on my little demonstration of what a real tough guy I was, I went to see my sponsor. And I was sitting at my sponsor's house. You know, this punk said this to me, and this lame said that to me, and he don't know me, and I'll kill him. Don't you understand? He can't talk like that and disrespect me, blah, blah, blah. And my sponsor very simply said, well, what's changed? He said, you still dress like a drug addict? He said, you still walk like a drug addict? He said, you still react like an addict? He said, what's changed? The only thing that's changed, Rich, is you done put down the drug. You got to do some things different in your life. You got to change the way you walk. You got to change the way you talk. You got to change everything about yourself. What's different? How is he supposed to know you ain't using when everything about you say you is? So I guess when I got paid, I went and got me some blue jeans. And I went and got me some cowboy boots. And I did a real radical change in my life. People that know me when I first come around know I had cowboy boots and blue jeans and things like that, but that was something I had never worn before. Never worn them before. But I had to do those things in order to incorporate a change in my life. I had to do those things so that I could see what I was doing different on a day-to-day basis. You know, I had to come out them Stacy's and them valleys. I didn't want to, but I did. You know, I can stand here today and tell you that my sponsor has given me suggestions, and at times he's given me direction, and at times he's just told me do it. You know, and I ain't never, ever liked nothing he told me to do that he talks about changing me. I ain't like none of it. On the other hand, I've done it. Don't tell me I got to like it. Tell me I got to do it. I was standing outside. I don't know. I wasn't outside, but I was standing out here in the lobby yesterday, and a guy wanted to hug another guy, and the guy said I didn't want to do. Said, you got to hug me. The guy said, there ain't no must. And I said to myself, keep your big mouth shut, Richard. That's the first thing I said, because my big mouth was going to tell him, Jack, you need to read your basic text. Because there's plenty of must in that basic text. There must all through that. And one of the musts that he come up with in that basic text, he said, we must change our personality. We must change. There ain't no option if we want to stay alive. So I kept my mouth shut and I let them guys stay sick. But if you're in here, you know who I'm talking about. You better read your basic text and get with them musts. I want to talk to you guys about Today We Live. I've been in Williamsport, Pennsylvania for, I don't know, about 4 years. It'll be 4 years this month. And since I've been there, I've met a lot of people, and I made a lot of friends. Her and I were cool. You understand what I'm saying? She was a younger girl, and when we first met, we just hit it off. We went a lot of places together. We cultivated a friendship together, and in early recovery, and we spent a lot of time together. We talked about the book. We grew up a lot emotionally together. And one day, went to a meeting over at Grace, and she come running out of the meeting, and she grabbed me and another black guy by the arm, and she was hysterically crying because her boyfriend that she had broke up with had threatened to expose her. He was going to blackmail her with the fact that she was HIV positive if she didn't continue to be a part of his life. And she shared that with me and another guy. And we shared some things with her, and as a result, she had somebody she could talk to. For 2 years, her and I were the only people in that town that shared that secret. And I introduced her to some people out of town that were struggling with the same problem that she was. And through a period of time, and the grace of God, she was able to come to grips with the fact that she was HIV positive. And she was able to share that on a group level. And she was able to become one of the pioneers in our area with the double trouble meetings. One of the pioneers in our area that openly talked about the disease of our disease. And I watched this girl become a woman, and I watched this woman put on a display of bravery and growth that I've never seen before in my life. She passed away, and she passed away June 21st. And I didn't cry, because I guess, I was just so relieved that she was taken out of that pain. But I get in touch with it today that my friend taught me some valuable lessons on living just for the day. She taught me to do the best that I can in the day's period with what I got. She also taught me that the little complaints that I have, ain't nothing, man. Ain't got no job, that ain't nothing. Overweight, that ain't nothing. A girlfriend left me, that ain't nothing. She told me that no matter what, you don't pick up. And she did that. She walked it like she talked it. All the way to the end. I heard a guy share one time, he say, a heart attack ain't the worst thing that could happen to me. Having AIDS ain't the worst thing that could happen to me. Losing my mother, losing my father, a girl running out, the dog dying. Those aren't the worst things that could happen to me. See, I'm an addict. And the worst thing that could happen to me is that I use. And in using, I become isolated from this fellowship. And in using, I become subhuman again. I forget again how to laugh. I forget again how to cry. I forget again how to work. I forget again how to play. I forget again how to feel. I forget again how to live. That's the worst thing that could happen to me. I could become that isolated person that I was 7 years ago. And I believe him. I believe her. Just for the day, for me, I dedicate this day of recovery to my friend Renee. Today we live. Last year, about this time, I was in a real bad space with my recovery. I was in a real bad space with the Fellowship of Narcotics Anonymous, so I thought. But the bottom line, it was me. I was in a bad space with me. I was questioning my motives for being here. Was I in the right place? Was I doing the right thing? That age-old question, did I want to stay clean? Was it worth it? I got a call and they told me that my mom had passed away. Devastating news. Total shock. They told me that my mom had passed away as a result of a stroke. For some reason, that didn't sit right with me. Because I had seen my mother approximately 3 weeks before that. And she was in good health. And she was laughing and she was joking and we were talking. So that just didn't sit right with me. So I probed a little deeper and I found out that after 11 years in a 12-step fellowship, my mother chose to use again. She picked up the alcohol. She picked up the pills. She picked up all her bad habits and her character defects once more, and she laid down, and she never woke up. And at that time, I was going through such turmoil. So many questions were going on with me that I had to do what my friend tells me, look for the good in it. Look for the good in your mom passing away. And when I sat down and I prayed and I thought about it and I spent some time with me, what I come to understand was my mom sent me a message that I'm in the right place, that I'm doing the right thing. And if I stop doing the right thing, what happened to her would happen to me no matter how many years I put on the board. I got to be a part of the program. Thanks, Mom. Because today I'm still here. I have a sponsor. Those of you guys that know my sponsor know he's a big guy. He's a very gentle man. It was one of the things that attracted me to him was the way he carried himself. I've always, I always thought that if he was a big dude, you had to have a big mouth. If he was a big dude, you always had to be the bully of the crowd. But my sponsor's a big guy, and he's a very gentle, soft-spoken guy. And I try on a lot of days to emulate those habits or those attributes with him. Some days I do all right, some days I don't. But our relationship is real strong. I didn't have an opportunity to talk to him before coming here, and I wanted to. On the other hand, I know that a lot of things that he's taught me or a lot of things that he said to me will sustain me while I'm here. Those of you that do not have a sponsor have an asshole for a sponsor. I say that. You don't believe me? I'll repeat that. Those of you that do not have a sponsor have an asshole for a sponsor. Because it's your sick thinking that got you here with me. My sponsor told me early on, listen to anybody but Richard, because you're a real sick individual. And I had to believe that. I've gotten better today. Sponsorship is the backbone of this fellowship. Sponsorship taught me to reach outside of myself. It was my first experience of dealing with my self-centeredness. It was my first experience of stepping out and getting open and vulnerable with a man. I've had a lot of experiences with men, but most of them was behind the locked walls in the penitentiary. And most of you guys that's been in the penitentiary know if you get open and vulnerable with a guy in the penitentiary, you may be running around talking about your name is me and Mrs. Jones. So vulnerability was not something you cultivated in the penitentiary. Being open with a man wasn't something that you cultivated in the penitentiary. Being honest with another human being wasn't something that you cultivated in the penitentiary. But in this program of Narcotics Anonymous, I found out that if I can't get honest, I can't get no better. If I can't talk to my sponsor, I don't know who I can talk to. And that's very important for me. I say this because I do believe, and I truly, truly mean this from the bottom of my heart, if you don't have a sponsor when you got here, please try to get one before you leave here. I have an opportunity on a day-to-day basis to do a lot of things. Where I live at, we have step and tradition meetings every day. Every day. Some days you get 2. So we spend a lot of time in this basic text. We spend a lot of time in this book. And a lot of my recovery is definitely basic text oriented. I believe in this book. I believe in this fellowship. I believe that no matter what goes on, this fellowship is going to survive. I believe that this is a God-given program, and I believe through the grace of whatever high power you choose to believe in, you made it here. My blessing started when he told me something about Narcotics Anonymous. Does anybody remember that first NA meeting? Does anybody remember what you thought of that thing? Did you believe that? Did you believe what them people were telling you then? I didn't either. But I believe it today. I'm looking around, man. They telling me that they expecting 5,000 addicts at this place, man. They already got 1,500 pre-registered. Look around you. Look who's sitting beside you. Each person practically in this room qualifies by saying I'm an addict. Ain't nobody pulled a gun on nobody. Ain't nobody pulled a knife on nobody. I don't think nobody's trying to beat nobody in here today. We living in harmony. We living in unity. And we're learning about love. That's right. I'm down for that. I'm down for that. I remember we was in Muskegon, right? I was sharing, right? And these people from Detroit was there. They kept saying, say that. You know, and I kept repeating what I was saying because I didn't know what they were talking about. I got some friends here today, man, that I really, I'm really near and dear to. I remember, tell you something. In Philadelphia, when I first started coming around, we would go to these dances down at 22nd and Chestnut. And when we went to these dances, I would usually ride down with this female that lived in my own town, and there would be her and about 2 other black women in the whole dance. So the guys would take turns dancing with this girl, that usually came with me. And I get mad, because She was mine, you know. Not that she belonged to me, not she had any designs on me whatsoever. But my self-centered sick self told me, you know, you came with me, you belong to me. But but through the process of recovery, I learned to share. You know, plus the fact that a few of them guys didn't even really give a damn about me being mad at all anyway. But I met a friend, real close friend now today. I watched him a lot. I learned a lot from him. When I came down here and they told me he was going to be here, I was expecting him to be the first guy in here sitting down at the seat. But my expectations usually don't be fulfilled anyway because they're so outlandish. But he's here. And this is one of the brothers that's real instrumental to bringing the message of Narcotics Anonymous to the Philadelphia area. We laugh a lot, and we have a good time together whenever we're together. I just want to say this because it's not too often I get an opportunity to tell my friends thank you. And I want to tell him thank you, and I want to tell all of you guys thank you. And I want to tell my home group in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, thank you. It's because these are the guys that see me every day. These are the guys that see that not so spiritual side of me at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock in the morning. These are the guys that sometimes catch me before I've had my coffee. Or right after I went outside and found out I got a flat tire. These are the people that really and truly help me practice principles in my life on a day-to-day basis. I want to thank them. There's a couple other guys. When I first come around this fellowship, it was a guy who used to hang out with me. He was a fence rider. He was intelligent. He made too much money to be an addict. He didn't believe this. Come on, Rich. They full of stuff. We don't really have to go to that meeting tonight. He died in active addiction. And I want to thank him for letting me know that when I don't want to go to the meeting, it's when I need to go to a meeting. And another friend. He was smart. He was too intelligent for this. We would go to meetings and people would share, and by the time we rode home, he would be to pick apart everything they said for what it was. And I want to thank him too. They found him dead in a state of rigor mortis, 400 miles from home, strange in a strange land, in a room. And I want to tell him, thank you for letting me just get dumb enough to stay around one more day. The last person I want to tell you about. I want to tell you about this guy because this was the first guy I ever sponsored. I remember when he came to me and he asked me to sponsor him. It was right after I shared at an institution or a facility. And this guy came up to me and he asked me to would I be his sponsor. So not knowing truly how to respond to that, I answered him in the same way that my sponsor answered me, right? So I got real humble. Excuse me, I just told a tale. I said I got real humble. No, I didn't. I adopted an air of humility. I said, I would be more than honored to be your sponsor. Thank you for considering me. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I gave him on the outside. On the inside, it was some people like, yo, me? Sponsor? Yes. You know, so, got me one. You know what I'm saying? So I took this guy as a sponsor, and I was going to keep him clean. You notice what I said. Let go and let Richard. I'm going to keep him clean. And I took him under my wing, and we hung out on a day-to-day basis, and I gave him all my 9 months of recovery. You know, I'm giving it to him, you know. And one day he was supposed to meet me at a meeting, and he didn't show. So I went by his house, and I knocked on the door, and I didn't get an answer. And prior to that, he had been struggling with riding the fence. He had met this girl, stayed next door to him, and he wanted to do the wild thing. And the girl said, okay, we'll do the wild thing if you feed my habit. And he graciously did that for her. So when I was supposed to meet him and he didn't show up, and I went by his house and he didn't answer, I went by the next day and the next day. Finally, I think on the third day, when I went to his house, I smelled something coming out of the room. And called a friend. Friend told me to call the police and break the door in. So we broke the door in, and we found the guy that I sponsored. He had died of an OD, sitting in a chair. What had happened was that the girl had told him, yeah, we can do the wild thing, but you got to get high with me so you can hang. And so there's that one time, for the last time, he got high and he hung. And he hung and he hung. And I went through a real guilt trip about that because I thought it was my fault. I was ready to chuck it in. And I learned the therapeutic value of one addict helping another does not mean I have to carry you in your sickness. I mean, I can help you in the healing process, but I'll be damned if I can keep you sick. And it was a hard lesson to learn because my self-esteem suffered when he died. My self-worth went down. I only had 9 months' worth anyway. Everything that I thought that I had just went down the drain when this guy died. And I was walking around in a depressed state, moping, and my sponsor got just right with me. And I'm grateful to the day for the things that he said to me. I'm not responsible for it. He's responsible for his own recovery. All I am is his sponsor. I am not his God. And I got to remember that on a day-to-day basis because bottom line, see, I don't know about anybody else, but still today, I think that I can make somebody stay clean. You know, I got to deal with these issues for real, for what they are. A lot of times, I don't be giving sponsorship up. I be giving egoship up. I be dealing in vanity. And I have to be careful about that. I have to give them what come out of this book, not what always comes out of my head. Because this is going to be exact. And no telling what the hell this is going to be when it gets mixed up. See, and being a sponsor can take me on a power trip. Now you on direction. Direction for what and from who? I can show you better than I can tell you. That's my direction. If I'm walking and I'm walking the right and it meets your approval, then walk it like that. But if I'm wrong, then you bust my ass just like I'm going to bust yours. You know, because sponsorship is a two-way street. I don't have too much more to say. I just want to tell you guys that I'm real happy to be here. I truly enjoyed this. It's great to be alive. And you are so beautiful to me. Ow! I think I want to close this, you know, because with this, you know, we talk about today I live, today we live. What am I living for? Got a lot of incentive today. I got all you people in my corner. That's one more reason for the day we live. I got to look in my daughter's eyes. Not disappointment, but a love. Not a hate, but a joy. I got my health. I got some semblance of sanity. I have a purpose in my life today. I have things that I need to do and things that I want to do, and I've got things that I know that I'm finally going to accomplish. This is one of the reasons, I guess, or some of the reasons why today we live. Positive things. I don't have to worry about waking up in somebody's alley, somebody's hit house, somebody's jail. I got love today. I got friends today. I have faith today. And I have a higher power that I truly believe in today. I have a friend, man, he's very, very eloquent. He can say a lot of things. And one day he said something, and I wrote it down, but I didn't get it all. He said this: shattered life, I led and lost. A picture-perfect scene of pain. To trade pleasure for pain. To trade peace for chaos. To trade joy for sorrow. To give up this relationship with God and His fellowship. To return to the way I used to be. To do all these things and say I'm okay sounds like insanity to me. Thanks for letting me share. And watch out for them tow trucks.